How's it going, guys? Dragon Star Production here, back with another video, and in this edition of Dragon Ball What Ifs, we will be covering by far my favorite what if that I've done. What if Shallot was canon part 4? That being said, due to this video being on the longer side, I won't be giving a recap of part 3. However, I will leave the link right above so you can catch up on the series if you haven't already. That being said, I present to you the long-awaited What If Shallot Was Canon part 4. So, we'll be starting off with planet Yardrat, this being because both Shallot and Vegeta ended up there after escaping Namek's explosion. On Yardrat, the two are kinda at odds with each other, so when the Yardrats take the two in, it quickly becomes a competition. Shallot and Vegeta are both pushing themselves even more due to having the competition there. So we'll actually say that both Shallot and Vegeta managed to learn the instant transmission technique, and possibly some others, we'll just have to see. Anyway, now we'll jump right over to Earth. Kakarot being on Earth this go around, he decides that, well, he's going to train. He takes in both Gohan and Leek, well, mostly Leek because his son Gohan is actually studying because he wants to be a scholar. Kakarot would start teaching the two half-breeds more and more every day. Gohan was simply just bonding with his dad, but Leek, on the other hand, had a different agenda. Leek wanted to achieve Super Saiyan. He wanted to keep his mother safe while his father Shallot was gone. So Leek is basically taking every sparring session very, very seriously. And Kakarot would be doing this basically until Mecha Frieza and King Cold plant feet on Earth. Instantly, when they arrive, everyone then goes to meet Frieza after sensing his energy. But before any of them can make a move, a Super Saiyan comes flying out of a time machine and takes out both Frieza and King Cold with slight ease. This does intrigue everyone else, but as we know, this is Trunks. And let me just say though that Trunks is completely floored by this time. For one, Goku, who is Kakarot in this time, is here. 2, Vegeta isn't here. And 3, he doesn't recognize the character we know as Shallot's son, Leek. So Trunks pulls Goku aside and kind of questions what's going on. And basically, Kakarot informs him that his name is not Goku and all this stuff. But this doesn't stop Trunks for explaining the heart virus and the threat of the androids to Kakarot. Like in Canon though, Piccolo is able to overhear everything and informs everyone that they have 3 years to prep for the android threat. That being said, everyone would start to take off and train, but Kakarot then asks Trunks about a sparring so he could test out his Super Saiyan ability as well. So Trunks and Kakarot brawl for a bit, but this has also caught the attention of Shallot and Vegeta on planet Yardrat. The two then decide to use their instant transmission to arrive on Earth, believing that Goku was in trouble after feeling not one, but 2 strange energies and Frieza's. Turns out though, on Earth, Goku wasn't in trouble. Anyway, Kakarot fills in Shallot and Vegeta about the androids and how this instantly makes Shallot think of the hyperbolic time chamber. Shallot though mentions that he knows that they can't use it every day, but it will help them gain strength in a quick amount of time, and he even states that he believes there could be a next level past Super Saiyan. This catches all 4 of the Saiyans off guard, but Trunks would still leave to go back to his timeline. This then leads Z fighters to all train for the 3 years, and as soon as Shallot and Leek arrive back at their house, Shallot hears a threatening voice screaming his name. He turns around to find the blonde Launch basically cussing him out for not coming home, and then she slaps him right across the face. Luckily though, before Shallot got too beat up, Launch sneezes and states how she's missed Shallot so much as she hugs him super tightly. Launch then states that she'll start cooking dinner while the two train. Shallot and Leek then train every day together for the next 3 years. And during this training, Leek is able to achieve the Super Saiyan transformation with his father, while Shallot knows that he's on the brink of ascending beyond Super Saiyan himself. As for Kakarot, he typically trains Gohan for when he wants to, who we know has a very high potential, so he is also able to tap into the Super Saiyan. However, he doesn't train in it very often, so it's not going to be as strong as Gohan was in canon. However, Kakarot does fall ill to the heart virus much earlier in this timeline due to exerting more energy, so Piccolo does join in from time to train Gohan during this incident. But Piccolo typically stays by himself during the training. Vegeta, on the other hand, has been probably the busiest out of everyone. He's not only been training, but he's also done some bedtime sparring with Bulma as well, if you get what I'm saying. And then for the humans, they have also trained and will fall pretty close to their canon counterparts, being a bit stronger. This being said, I'm going to skip a bit further into the 3 years to the last week before the androids arrive. And this is because everyone is going up to Kami's Lookout to train. Not just Kami's Lookout though, also the Time Chamber. And I'd also like to say, during this last week of training, Shallot finally taps into this beyond Super Saiyan power of what we know as Grade 2, with Vegeta and Kakarot right on his tail of achieving this form. So, of course, they're going to be working pretty hard at it as well. That being said, I think we are finally ready for the android's arrival. Dr. Gero and Android 19 would eventually show up to where the Z-Fighters were, and as soon as they arrived, the fight was on. Kakarot started battling with Android 19, and because he doesn't fall ill to the heart virus, he actually beats 19 with ease. And at this point, Gero knew that he was in trouble and had no choice but to release both Android 17 and 18. The biggest thing though was, Gero didn't have a way to escape. But Gero quickly finds a way to escape because Trunks, like in the canon story, would come out and screaming that these aren't his androids, which gives Gero the opening he needs to make a run for his lab. So all the Z-Fighters would then break off into groups like they did in canon, and Gero would also make it to his lab. But this also leads to Gero dying by the hands of Android 17. Android 17 and 18 would then have Android 16 released as well. However, 16's motive wasn't just to kill Kakarot. It was also to kill Shallot, because way back in the Red Ribbon Saga, Shallot aided Kakarot in basically killing off the Red Ribbon Army. That being said, the androids all head off to find Kakarot and Shallot. Trunks and Krillin, though, are the first to actually encounter the androids. Trunks warns Krillin, but surprisingly, Krillin doesn't hesitate. Krillin powers up to his max, but this wasn't because he thought that he could beat the androids, but because he knew that Shallot or Vegeta could come using the instant transmission, which in this case, both of them do. However, as soon as Shallot pops in, he's immediately ambushed by Android 16. Android 16 keeps yelling, "Kill Shallot!" Shallot quickly jumps into Super Saiyan, but not even this can keep up with the Android 16. Android 16 is still just knocking Shallot around, but then 16 takes off his arm and is about to shoot Shallot. But Shallot, though, manages to slide out of the way of the attack and then charges up to his Grade 2 form, and this gives Shallot the upper hand that he needed, although it's not by much. Shallot knew that he wouldn't last long in this form if he tried to drag it out against this machine, so Shallot tries to get an opening to end the fight with 16. So Shallot places 2 fingers on his head and starts popping around 16 until 16 would turn around and eat a full power final cannon. This causes 16 to go flying back, but this doesn't destroy the android, it just damages him pretty badly. But 16 isn't the only one out of commission at the moment. Shallot falls face first, retreating back to his face. Shallot was very drained and very fatigued here. This would then lead Vegeta to stepping up to fight Android 18. Vegeta, although doing better than what he would do in the canon story, isn't able to defeat 18. And then when Trunks and Krillin try to intervene, Android 17 quickly shoots both of them down. However, more of the Z-Fighters all show up, just not in time. The androids had already left, leaving 16 and the others just laying there. Luckily though, Kakarot had a Sensu Bean and he was able to perk everyone back up. Trunks then explains that 16 isn't in their timeline either, but Shallot then cuts him off, saying their timelines are completely different and to stop comparing the two. Basically, just angry that the androids got away. And I will say though, the androids don't get too far until they are met by Cell, who's been eavesdropping, waiting for his moment to strike, and just like that, Cell manages to absorb both androids by sneaking up behind them. So yep, no more androids, now we have perfect Cell. And I would think considering that Cell was near a city, that he would crash a television station and inform the world of who he is and his plans of the Cell games. And Cell also directly points out that he'll be looking forward to fighting both Shallot and Kakarot. Luckily though, the Earth still feels safe because they have their hero, Mr. Satan. Cell's announcement would catch everyone by surprise, especially after realizing that the androids were no more and that Cell had absorbed them. But Kakarot, Vegeta, and Shallot all refuse just to stay back and relax before this tournament. Instead, the three want to go off and find Cell, but Leek, Gohan, and Piccolo are all able to convince the three to stop before they take off. It's Leek who states that if the androids gave us so much trouble, that this Cell guy should easily be stronger than both of them. This then makes everyone think, and they all decide to use the time chamber once more. The first to go in was Vegeta and Trunks. They are both able to figure out all the way up to grade 3. The next to go in though was Gohan and Kakarot. These two both managed to master the Super Saiyan, or simply grade 4 like they did in Canon. Finally though, Shallot and Leek both go in as well. Shallot pushes his son very hard inside the time chamber, which also leads them to achieving the mastered Super Saiyan or grade 4 as well. But Shallot can feel more inside of him. It's such a familiar feeling for Shallot too, of knowing that he's right at the edge of achieving something. It just burns inside of him. And as soon as Leek and Shallot walk out, Vegeta drags Trunks back in, pissed that he's been surpassed by all 4 living Saiyans on Earth. However, they too are both able to tap into the grade 4 Super Saiyan state, but when they walk out, they only have one more day until the Cell game, so everyone goes home and basically relaxes for one day until arriving at the Cell games. And of course, Cell would introduce himself and inform everyone of what his plans are. Simply, a good fight, which Vegeta vows to give him as he charges in full speed at Cell. But Cell blocks Vegeta's punch and then the two begin to brawl. However, it was clear to see that Cell was just toying with Vegeta. Cell even points this out to Vegeta, which makes the prince super angry. However, this would lead to Vegeta's downfall because being so angry, he leaves himself open and Cell gut punches Vegeta. Vegeta crashes down, then just to get blasted by a Kamehameha. Vegeta is down but not dead. Shallot though decides to step in, realizing that he had to stay on guard the entire time. Shallot launches in at Cell, and Shallot was able to catch Cell off guard at the beginning of this fight, so Shallot actually does manage to get in some huge hits on Cell early. Cell though states that the fight is just what he's been looking for, and he trades punches back and forth with Shallot. Shallot though, like Vegeta, starts to become pretty drained. Shallot though knows that he has to dig deeper, and the thing is, Cell wants him to dig deeper as well. Cell wants Shallot to show him this incredible power that he also senses inside of him. The only thing is, Shallot can't seem to break through to it, so Cell has the idea of making some Cell Juniors to force all on the others Z fighters to fight as well. Shallot though, seeing this, realizes that they are in deep trouble, and the Cell Juniors just start attacking the others and are doing extremely well against them. But Cell isn't going to let Shallot attempt to save one of his friends, so Cell stays on top of Shallot, basically just holding him off. Shallot, just hearing his friends all getting beat up, he then starts to feel a tingle of anger. Then Shallot heard Leek scream, and this is what made Shallot explode. He couldn't afford losing his son again, so Shallot then just burst out into a huge scream as the ground burst into a large crater. Lightning is striking the dirt all over the places, and Shallot had finally did it. He tapped into this hidden power of Super Saiyan 2. Shallot in this form had no hesitation. He quickly turned his back on his enemy Cell, and he makes quick work of all the Cell Juniors. Shallot wipes through them all, killing them with very little ease, then changes his anger straight towards Perfect Cell. Shallot screams as he starts flying fist first at Cell. Shallot catches Cell right across the jaw, causing him to go crashing into the arena. Shallot though doesn't let off the attack. Instead, he just continues pounding Cell to a pulp, enough to where Kakarot even has to yell out at Shallot, telling him that he's getting carried away and that he needs to finish this. Luckily though, hearing his friend, Shallot snaps back into reality. Shallot then grabs Cell by one arm and throws him into the sky as he charges up his biggest, his most powerful, his largest final cannon that he has ever charged in his entire life. Cell couldn't move because he was being beat up so bad, so as he launched in the air, The only thing Cell can do is get completely caught in the final cannon, obliterating him on spot, nucleus and all. Cell won't be coming back thanks to Shallot, and Shallot after this falls to his knees, gasping for air as his son Leek runs full force at him, hugging him for saving the day. Leek then helps his father up, and they all go their separate ways, thankfully having no deaths this entire saga. Unless you want to count the androids who kind of died when Cell died, but yeah, that kind of happened. However, guys, that being said, we are not going to jump into the 7 years because I have something pretty big planned within the 7 years besides the Buu saga. That being said, if you want to see whatever that happens, make sure you give this video a like of 200 likes, and I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I really enjoy making this. That being said, this has been Dragonstar Productions, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
I am Lord Frieza, Emperor of the Universe, and I advise you to like this video and subscribe to Dragonstar Productions, or you'll force me to use 100% of my power. Oh, ho, ho, ho. But that won't be necessary because you've already hit the bell for all alerts and notifications. Ho, 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 ho.